You're listening to AM Now, an Accounting Matters podcast. I'm Adam Olsen.
And I'm Nicole Harger.
In today's episode, we will have an update from the SEC on the sustainability front. We will provide an overview of the AICPA's proposed reporting framework for issuers of stablecoins, and we'll wrap things up this week with the newest project added to the FASB's technical agenda.
So starting off on the sustainability front, Adam, last week you and I were at the AICPA and SEMA conference on current SEC and PCAOB developments. And I don't know about you, but I sure was hoping we would get maybe the inside scoop on timing of the SEC's climate rule. During the conference, former SEC Commissioner Elad Roisman highlighted the inevitability of the SEC's climate rule.
Yeah, and in addition, at the recent Council of Foreign Relations event, SEC Chair Gary Gensler suggested that the establishment of climate reporting rules in the U.S. could actually assist companies facing stricter climate disclosure requirements in other jurisdictions. Mr. Gensler warned that the absence of a U.S. rule might force companies to comply with foreign regulations like the EU's Corporate Sustainability Reporting Directive. While the SEC reviews its rule, other global sustainability reporting regimes, such as the CSRD, are emerging with potentially more comprehensive requirements. Mr. Gensler highlighted differences between the U.S. and EU approaches, emphasizing the SEC's focus on materiality for investors. If the U.S. fails to establish a rule, many companies may still be required to comply with European standards. Mr. Gensler mentioned the possibility of substituted compliance discussions if a different U.S. rule is finalized.
So when we left the conference with no update on timing of the release of the rule, later last week, the Office of Information and Regulatory Affairs released the Fall 2023 Unified Agenda of Regulatory and Deregulatory Actions, noting the SEC updated the target date of release of the final climate rule to next spring in April.
So it's fair to say Christmas isn't coming early this year if you were hoping for the SEC climate rule. But we will continue to watch this and keep a close eye on it and be sure to bring you all the latest updates here on AM Now. Switching gears, last week, the AICPA issued a proposed reporting framework for issuers of stablecoins. The proposed reporting framework will provide the first framework of its kind to those issuing stablecoins backed by fiat currency to report relevant information to stakeholders and will provide the basis for attestation services around this asset class. In an environment where crypto assets and digital currencies often make headlines due to their novelty and unpredictability, stablecoins have gained prominence for their pivotal role in trading, making them an attractive prospect for investors and businesses. However, a lack of consistency in the information available to token holders has been a noted concern. The newly proposed criteria is aimed to address this inconsistency. Regulatory bodies, including the New York Department of Financial Services, or DFS, are already mandating reporting and attestation of stablecoins, highlighting the growing importance of regulatory compliance.
Amy Beers, Senior Director of Assurance and Advisory Innovation at the AICPA and SEMA, expressed excitement, stating, "The AICPA is thrilled to develop the first available framework for reporting on stablecoins and to be at the forefront of bringing transparency and consistency to the digital asset space. The proposed criteria seek to provide transparency, benefiting not only token issuers, but also token holders, regulators, and the broader industry. By establishing a standardized framework, the AICPA aims to alleviate inconsistencies in measuring and reporting issued tokens and the assets supporting them." Jay Schulman, chair of the attestation subgroup of the AICPA Digital Assets Working Group and principal at RSM, emphasized the focus on stakeholder needs, including consistency, comparability, and transparency of information, aiming to instill trust in digital assets.
Once finalized and issued by the AICPA, these guidelines can be utilized by practitioners in attestation engagements to conduct procedures and generate reports on an issuer's claims regarding the sufficiency of assets for redemptions linked to asset-backed fiat-pegged tokens, i.e. stablecoins. The AICPA Assurance Services Executive Committee is actively seeking public feedback on the proposed stablecoin criteria. Professionals and experienced individuals are encouraged to download the exposure draft, provide input, and submit written comments before the deadline on January 29th of next year.
Our last story for the week comes from the FASB. At its December 6th board meeting, the FASB decided to add a project to its technical agenda to refine the scope of ASC 815 derivatives and hedging. Specifically, the board decided to amend Topic 815 to incorporate a scope exception for contracts with underlyings based on the operations or activities that are specific to one of the parties to the contract. The board directed the staff to perform research to develop alternatives for refining the predominant characteristics test in ASC 815 and to perform additional research on the interaction between ASC 815 and ASC 606 related to certain revenue arrangements involving non-cash consideration. The FASB staff will perform further research and outreach to be discussed at a future board meeting. Some more to come here.
Can't wait. And that wraps us up for this week. We'll be taking the next few weeks off here at AM Now to celebrate the holidays.
We would like to take a moment to thank those of you who tune in, subscribe, and review. We hope each of you gets the opportunity to disconnect and spend time with loved ones over the holidays.
And we'll be back with a fresh episode of AM Now after the new year. But for now, if you're looking for a deeper dive into what's trending in accounting and finance, check out our other podcast on the Accounting Matters feed on your preferred listening platform. Again, I'm Adam Olsen.
And I'm Nicole Harger.
Thanks for listening to AM Now.
We'll see you in 2024.